Hello, how's everyone doing? So today we are going to be looking at this Drelinger Grenadilla head joint. This was a really fun one that the Flute Center just kind of like packed in the bag for me. I did ask for a Drelinger head joint because I've never actually tried one before. I've heard of Drelinger for a really long time. And yeah, especially after all of our talks of me, being a player who does tend to prefer wood, I was very excited that this is what they packed for me. So just to make it clear, I cannot always get specific head joints, models, etc., because it really kind of depends on who is trying them to buy them. Me being a content creator and a reviewer, I think it makes complete sense to make sure that those people are higher on the priority list to get, to try these head joints. It just so happened that no one was trying this one. So I get to review it for you guys. I did list the exact product link for this exact head joint. This is a certified pre-owned. So this exact one with like the serial number and everything is exactly the same. The exact product page for this is in the video description below. So you guys can go check it out. If you like this, you can ask to try it after I have returned it to the Flute Center. And you know, give it a whirl, see if you like it. So yeah, that's what we are working with today. So I do have 2 flutes that I can try it on. I was just looking to see which of my flutes and also which of the flutes that I still have from the Flute Center it fits on. It seems to fit on the Nagahara. So the Nagahara 950, 9.5 silver. Or that is 0.95 silver. There we go. 0.95 silver. And then it also fits on my Trevor James copper alloy. It does not fit on my Brannon, which is not it's not a surprise. Most things don't fit in my Brannon. My Brannon is very, very small. As I found out many weeks prior, I found out that my Brannon is 0.012, I think, or 0.014, I guess. Yeah. Inches in terms of the tube thickness. Wait, let me go back and look. I don't want to spread fake news. I did find this out 3 weeks back. So I'm just going to look at that really quick. Let's see. So the Brannon head joint. Yeah, this is the one. So Brannon head joint was it 0.012? It is. I remembered correctly. It's 0.012 inch. So I don't think it's exactly a surprise that the bore is very, very small as well. But yeah, so, but I just wanted to make sure I had at least 2 different flutes that I could try for you guys. I would say that the copper is going to somewhat act kind of like how a gold might, or like a rose gold might. So the Trevor James copper alloy should kind of like allow this head joint to sort of be kind of like very, very, like have a larger tone color palette. The Nagahara 0.95 silver is going to be really good to see how consistent this head joint is, because that particular flute is very good at sort of locking you into one tone color kind of family, as we discovered, was it last week? So, it'll be really fun to see how a wooden, a full wood head joint kind of responds on that one, because we did try my my Monka head joint on it, and I noticed that even with that, it sort of locked you into that one tone color palette. So I thought that would be a really good comparison to compare, like the same wooden head joint on a flute that sort of allows you to be loosey-goosey with your tone color, and another one that locks you into one color family. So yeah, as you guys can tell, I have been kind of experimenting a little bit. I haven't played them, so you guys are still getting my very real response. It's just that I just kind of wanted to do all of this kind of like seeing what fits and what doesn't fit off camera, because I just didn't want to waste time on camera. But anyway, that's what we're doing today, and I think it's time to catch up with you guys and say hi. So hello, Justin, Victor, Nicholas, hello, Michael, King Asara, hello. Viracosin, hello. Buffy, hello. I did not know that Sandy Drelinger died of COVID. That is incredibly sad. Wow, that is incredibly sad. Brenda, hello. How are you? Rose gold is also copper, so yeah, that's why I was like, it's not a huge, like I feel like it won't be a huge jump. At I just want to find out how this head joint responds to like a loosey-goosey tone color flute versus a locked into one color family flute. You know, like I felt like that comparison would be really good. So hey Piper Maid, how are you? Welcome, welcome. By the way, I think I wanted to make a quick mention. I just want to say thank you so much, you guys, for showing up to these reviews. I know that I'm not the most like I don't give the the most heads up as to when these streams happen. I'm not making an excuse or you know, apologizing or anything like that, but I think it does bear mentioning just so that you guys are aware, because I know that not everyone is aware. We're going through another flare, like a pretty bad flare for John's skin, and what that means is that we are losing a lot of sleep. So that's why I'm trying not to promise streams, at least for this, you know, period of time, because you know, if I'm really not feeling good, I want to be able to just very quietly take an afternoon off and not have to do a huge kerfuffle to like announce that I've canceled a stream or blah blah blah, stuff like that. So things are still kind of in the air right now. The flare has been going on for a long time. I'm just literally going to check my my calendar here, but it's been going on for, let's see, 1, 2, yeah, we're like 3.5 weeks ish in. This particular flare is looking really bad, but still not as bad as previous bad flares. So it is looking like this is kind of stretching out to at least 6 weeks. So yeah, I just wanted to explain. I'm not apologizing for it, because this is just how my life is. Personally, I am wanting to continue to show up to these streams for myself, because I personally have a goal for myself that by the end of 2025, I want to look back at my year and be like, yeah, I made so much flute content, you know, that I was just a nerd all year long, and I've just been feeding my inner nerd all year long. Like, I want to look back at my channel and be like, yeah, I made so much bingeable flute material, you know, for people to enjoy. So that's just a personal goal of mine, and that's why I'm showing up for these, even though life is kind of tough right now. Yeah, I've had 2 coffees today, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm looking at myself in my little like OBS preview, and I look tired. So yeah, I just wanted to explain, and thank you so much for your understanding. You guys are so kind. I feel very spoiled as a content creator. I've said this before, but I feel very, very spoiled by you guys. And yeah, so I just wanted to explain that is why I felt that for me, not having to constantly feel like I'm bound to a stream, and if I can't show up, then I have to go through the whole hassle of canceling it. Not having to deal with that part has alleviated a lot of stress from me. So I am really just trying to, you know, adjust the way I work in such a way that I don't have to deal with a lot of extra stress and extra promises that I feel like I have to keep. So I'm just not making promises, essentially. But yeah, I felt that would be good for you guys to understand that's what's going on. But we're here now, so let's get on with it. I personally want to try this on the Nagahara first, because I have a feeling that I am the type of person who will really enjoy the loosey-goosey tone color fun, and I want to save that for the second half of this stream. Blind guy, how are you doing? Yes, let us get started. Exactly. So we're going to take out the Nagahara. And here, I'll let you guys still stare at the Drelinger. It's really a beauty. I'm really quite stunned by how pretty it is. And I don't know if you guys could see it in the thumbnail, but I was quite proud to catch how, like, it has a slight wave kind of carving to it. So there we go. So I apologize for this lighting, guys. It's actually really hard to, yeah, see, oh God. Yeah, it's really hard to show on camera, but if you guys look at my thumbnail that I created for this stream, you guys can look at my social media content, and you'll see the post there. Oh, I just realized that you guys can't see me. Hi. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you guys can see it in the reflection. You see how it's like kind of carved inwards like this? So, and it's carved a little bit in here too. Like, you can actually see how the light is bouncing off of it. It's almost as if a lip plate has been very subtly carved into this. And like, especially here, like, I'm really seeing that wave type of carving in here. I thought that was so cool. Yeah, you guys can see that in the light. So, and then like, but looking at this cutting here, again, I'll try and show it in the light. There we go. You can see it's not very rectangular. It's more like rounded, I would say. So I'm going to guess that this is going to give a very, very sweet sound. And also, it's probably going to help direct my air inwards. So I probably don't have to go crazy thin, at least with my Airstream. And also, something to keep in mind is that this is Grenadilla. Personally, I have noticed that Grenadilla wood tends to make me play more like further back in the mouth. But you know, I have no idea how this is actually going to respond to me, especially since we've also got this kind of wave business in here, and so I don't know how all of that is going to like interact with each other. But yeah, that's what we're working with right now. I'll let you guys, here, I'll flip it this way. Maybe it's a little easier to see in the light kind of what's happening. Yeah, you know, guys, it is very surprisingly difficult to show all this stuff on camera due to lighting and stuff, because wood tends to be really dark. Except, yeah, of course, you do have your lighter woods too, but a lot of the woods used with flute is like pretty dark. On top of like the shiny bits, always makes the camera go absolutely bonkers insane. Like, it's just, it doesn't know what to focus on, and it's like, it's so bright that it tries to like, like the white balance gets really weird, and yeah, it's just, it's very funny. But anyway, we're gonna put the Nagahara 950 body and foot joint together. I'm gonna put it in there. You know, I do have quite a bit of space here, so I might just go ahead and put together the Trevor James as well. So I will do that as well. I'll put this here. Drelinger wood head joints are a rare find. Didn't make that many of them. That cutaway is to cut back on the extraneous noise when blowing into the blowhole embouchure hole. Oh, John, thank you so much for informing us. Thank you. Sharper edge for a cleaner attack. I like it a lot. Oh, Piper Maid, thank you so much. So, John, you have a few wood head joints from Peter Noy, Powell, and Abel. Abel's the other one that I want to try. I've not been able to try Abel. At least I don't think so. I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure I have not tried Abel head joints. But anyway, right here is my Trevor James. So it should be fairly easy for me to kind of pop between the two of these now. Okay, so we're going to go through kind of my typical, like the typical things that I test. So we'll do harmonics. Usually I do it on C, just to kind of map out the head joint, the flute. And then we are going to, something to keep in mind though, like one of the reasons why I am trying this on two different flutes is because I have recently found out that the flute itself, like the body and the foot joint, absolutely plays a role in kind of like generally where the air bubble wants to sit in your mouth. The head joint does affect it, but from my experience, it's not the end all be all. So that's going to be the interesting part here. But yeah, so we're going to do harmonics just to sort of map out what's going on. Then we're going to do oh, give me a second, guys. I need to get a package. I'll be right back. See you in a bit. All right, hello guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. They're not flutes. It's tea. So, yeah. Anyway, right. So, we're going to test out harmonics, and then tone color dynamics. I kind of mix the two in. Then we will test articulation. Well, we don't really need to do much with the mechanism this time around because we're just fiddling with the head joint. And then we're going to test out a few tunes. I really like the Genshin Impact main theme because it starts in the middle register, goes really high, has some pretty challenging intervals, and then it goes really low. Then I want to test out with a technical piece. So I really like, again, from Genshin Impact, partially because I don't get DMCA'd on these tunes. So it's a very fast tongued piece that goes up really high and really low. So again, sort of tests the full range. And then I want to try a few other tunes that I also know from Genshin Impact that kind of have like a, different tone colors. There's one in particular from the Sumeru region that I will try that I think will sound absolutely gorgeous on a wooden head joint. So just trying to see how things sound. But yes, I got tea. Well, let's give you guys I've talked about this before, but I know a bunch of you guys have just started watching my streams regularly recently. So we're a big Murchie's Tea and Coffee fan. Murchie's Tea and Coffee is based in Canada. So we were actually very concerned about this package potentially getting extra tariffed and etc. But surprisingly, we just ordered it like 2-3 days ago and it is here. So um, made it across the border because I was actually like so ready to essentially not be able to have Murchie's tea anymore. But yeah, made it across the border, so we're very pleased about that. We're not going to get into the whole political mess of everything that's happening right now, because this is supposed to be an escape from all of that. But the tea made it. So it's we're obsessed with their decaf Earl Grey and their decaf what they call Canadian breakfast tea, which is maple black tea. So we like having the decaf versions of them. We do have the caffeinated versions of them too, but we find them so strong that we have to be careful about when we drink them, because sometimes we like to have these in the afternoon or at night. We cannot do the caffeinated ones. Like we are weak old people now. And we can't do it. So yeah. But anyway, the tea made it. So okay, shall we give this a go? So I'm very excited. Here we go. So we're gonna pop this on the Nagahara. It's a bit of a tight fit at the top, so I think I'm gonna leave it pulled out just a hair, just so that I can for sure take it off afterwards. So apologies if I sound flat to you guys. It's not pulled out by very much, so it shouldn't be too flat. All right, we do need to change what this says up here because it is on the Nagahara 950. So let's do that. So on Nagahara 950. There we go. And just gonna make sure I got it all correct. 950. Yep. So perfect. And we are going to make that a little smaller. There we go. And then let me see. If I start typing here, is that underneath it? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. You would think that I would, test all of that before this, but no, I forgot to. Okay, so let's try this out. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So excited. Okay. Oh. I forgot that this is an inline G, so I need to roll in even more, so that I can do a more extreme rock stroke grip. Okay, so let's try that. All right, I don't think it's my imagination. I do actually think that the Grenadilla is kind of moving everything further back in the mouth, because that low C, it should be more so kind of like sitting on my lip, but it's now sitting in front of my lower front teeth. So I do think it's dragged it back inwards a bit. Do you guys hear that really nice kind of woody sort of breathiness around the sound? Oh, I love that sound. That like, I don't know. To me, it sounds so soulful, you know? Yeah, I do have to do what John is saying here. At least I can see it here in the chat. To open my mouth a little across my soft palate. Yeah. Because I need to essentially raise the roof of my mouth a bit to play it because it's moved everything back. Everything is nudged back. Just a bit. So like essentially it's like so the lowest note, the C, used to sit with the head joint that came with this flute. It used to sit kind of on the lip, but now it's right in front of the lower teeth. So everything has been sort of moved back a little bit, which includes that really high C. So the high C is kind of in a very, very, very high position right now. I'm just going to check really quickly what I put for the 950 because I know that it's very close to how I actually play on my Monka Brandon combo. So let's look that up really quickly. I do have my drawing ready to go. So let me put that on here. There we go. Here we go. Okay, so there's my drawing, but I'm going to pull up the one that we did before. So, because I have started like actually saving these so that I can go back to view them again. So this is the Nagahara 950. Open. Okay, let me make it a bit bigger for you guys. Okay, yes, so I did remember that correctly, that the lowest C is supposed to sit on my lower lip right on top of there, but it's shoved back now. So it's essentially where the C5 is now. So everything that you're seeing here, it's just everything is shoved back. So that G6 is now more so right in front of my front teeth. That's what I'm feeling. So I'm just going to try it again. Yeah, and the C5 is now behind the front teeth. If I raise it, it turns into the G5. So, ironically, I actually found that for those lower harmonics, if the airstream needs to sit lower in order for it to hit that point that needs to be open. But I'm sure for the higher notes, it needs to go higher, as you can see. Right, so hey Steven, how are you? very difficult for me to raise the roof of my mouth high enough for that C7. Not impossible, but very difficult. So it is actually, the map is exactly this, but shoved back. So let's try and draw that so that I can save this for later. You never know. Apparently I never know if I need these drawings again. So, okay, let's go to here and then let's label this correctly. So this will be, let's see, let's make this 75. So then we want to start typing here. So this is the Drelinger. That's too big. That's far too big. Let's do 50. Okay. So we'll do, there we go. Drelinger, there we go. Grenadilla head joint. On plus Nagahara 950. 950. Okay, we're gonna there we go. Drelinger Grenadilla plus Nagahara 950. There we go. Okay, that looks better. All right. So, it's essentially this but shoved backwards. So we're going to do that. So let's do our C. Oops. That is not what I meant to do. That is not what I meant to do. Come on. Oh my goodness, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Fine, I guess I will write it again. Drelinger Grenadilla plus Nagahara 950. Okay. Okay. Brush. There we go. Now we'll pick the color that we want. Okay. So now, the C4, that is not nearly thick enough. There, we'll try 7. Okay. So C4 is here. And then the C5 is here. Okay. And then G5 is like, it's further back from the teeth. So it doesn't really hit the tooth, at least like I'm hearing that it is not as clean. Yeah, it's not quite as clean. It almost sounds a little too floofy when it's like hitting the back of the tooth. Oh, actually that's a little too high. It's like, so it's like here. There we go. All right, and then we got our, above that is the C6. Yep, and then E6 is still nice and high, but again, it's just kind of like further back, like here. G6, G6 is in front of the front teeth like this. So yeah, I do highly recommend that, like, if you like that breathy sound around your sound, and you want to kind of shove everything further back in the mouth, Grenadilla is really good for that. So let's see. And we have B flat 6 is, this is already very uncomfortable for me. It's like right up there. So as you can see, I don't really have actual space for the C7. If you have a taller roof of mouth than I do, then you probably can do this no problem. Another thing to keep in mind, guys, is that I have a very small mouth. So I'm not exactly surprised that a lot of these don't actually fit me. So it's like here, which means that I need to, like if I want to get that C7, it doesn't really curve forwards though. It just goes above. I think I put that in slightly the wrong position. It's like right here. There we go. Maybe not quite that high. It's not quite that high. It's like here. Yeah. And then so if we want to actually let that come out, I have to raise the roof of my mouth like so. Okay, so let's label these. So this is C4, this one is C5, G5, this one is C6, E6, and then this one is G6, this is B flat 6, and then this one is C7. Okay, so that's our map. So if we compare the two, so you see how it's just kind of, it's shoved back. It's the same thing but shoved back. That's really what I'm finding that this head joint is doing, plus giving it a really nice kind of breathy sound. Really nice in my opinion. I really like it. Hey Judith, how are you? Floofy is a funny word to you. Yeah, I love that word. I use it far too much. Okay, so this is the map we're working with right now. And then let's just now test dynamic tone color type stuff, see what we're working with here, at least with this combo. So here we go. So what I'm immediately finding very interesting about this is that on the Nagahara 950, you're still, even if you go really soft, you can still get an insane core to the sound, which is actually reminding me of the issue that I actually find with playing density 21.5, which is the density of platinum. So the interesting thing with platinum is that you can go really soft and you still end up with this kind of really laser sound that is very weirdly projecting. And it sounds very disconcerting when you play soft and it doesn't get airy and breathy. What's interesting about this combo is that I'm still getting the breathy aura from the wood, but there's still a zingy core to the sound. And that's an interesting combination. I didn't really think that you could get such a breathy, woody aura with that core. And I do think it has something to do with the fact that the Nagahara is very good at staying consistent in kind of one tone color family. So this might be an interesting combo for people who are looking for that breathy, woody sound, but you need the like very reliable consistency of the tone color to like maybe fit with your orchestra or fit with your ensemble of whatever size you know, a lot of times when you're working with, you know, a group of players, they need to rely on you being reliable. You need to have a sound that they can predict from you. So if you're too loosey-goosey with your tone color, that may not actually be a very good thing in a group situation. So, you know, you can also argue the other way, which is that like if you're very flexible, then you can fit into any sound. But there is something to be said about predictability. So this reminds me of when I was in school and our band director paired us off into, you know, paired us off. And he said, you know, we're going to have one person play a note, and then we'll have the other person blend into the first person's sound. And then after you do that, you trade off. So the second person will play their note, and then the first person will blend to them. So I had no problem blending to my partner, but my partner could not find me. I still remember, like clear as day, I remember them telling me, Joanna, I can't find your sound. Because like no matter what they did on their instrument, they could not match me. Like I was sort of this very kind of like, I was like such a blendy sound that they couldn't find me. If I recall, I believe I was on my Brandon by that point. So I'm on rose gold and my friend was on a silver. And so, yeah, like I think what was actually happening there was kind of this situation where they were probably on a flute that sort of was just very consistent and predictable in its tone color production. Like there's a very specific color family that it produces. But then I was on a flute that was just like super loosey-goosey with the tone color. Like, so if I just kind of sat in the middle with a kind of middle ground sound, it was so blendy that this person, my friend, could not find my sound. So that's why I think it's a particularly interesting, because like for me, when I think of a flute that's like very consistent in its tone color, I usually don't think that I can also get that breathy aura around it. Usually if you try and get a sound that has that breathy aura, you lose that core. That's not necessarily a bad thing though, because in some, you know, some music you do kind of want to not have as much of that zingy core, because it just doesn't really sound good with all types of music. With classical era music, classical romantic, maybe like neoclassical, neo-romantic, you know, some 20th century stuff, and of course, modern 21st century stuff. Sometimes you do want to have that consistent sound, but that's what you need to sound good throughout the entire piece, especially if you're playing completely solo. So yeah, I think that's very interesting to me, that you can get that consistent sound through the rest of the flute, but have that breathy aura around it. Yeah, we're chameleons. Yeah, the loosey-goosey tone color people are the chameleons for sure. Yeah. I've been sort of described as a chameleon, and I prefer that sound. So, yeah. Super high definition, high fidelity, if you will. Yeah. Yes, I agree. It's so interesting to have a breathy sound around a very high definition sound. It's very interesting. It's an interesting combo. Very unique, you know. So let's keep going. I cannot get over that sound. That core, zingy core with that breathiness. The two should not coexist in my mind, and yet I'm hearing it, and it's such an interesting sound. I'm actually trying to lose that core and have this very hollow sound. I can't do it. I at least it's very difficult for me to. So I'm going to try some more and see what I can make of it. I see. This is another of those situations where the way that I typically manipulate tone color is flipped 90 degrees on this thing. So I normally make my like air bubble inside of my mouth flat and wide for a really rich tone, and then tall and narrow for a very hollow, like, you know, like it doesn't have that core, but it has this kind of like whooshy hollowness that you sometimes want depending on what you're playing. And I'm finding that with this combo, it no wonder the more I try to go for that hollow sound, the tighter it gets actually. So I just realized, I was like, what if I went flatter? And then I started to lose a bit of the core, but not all of it. This is so interesting. Yeah, it's flipped 90 degrees. Okay, so I'll show you guys what I mean. So on this flute, so if you're looking head on, or on this head joint, that is. Did I say anything about yeah, so with the DA cut, I might actually pop it on right now just to make sure I'm not crazy. But you see how I drew here that you kind of make the bottom part of it wider? But with this head joint though, if you want kind of like my base shape is like this, like it's like an oval like this, taller, and that gives you that sort of like that base shape. If you want it to be hollower, I'm finding that I'm doing, let me see if I make the top come down. Okay. Yeah, I finally made that core go away. Yeah. So I'm squashing it down like this. Like this. It's like very narrow, but it's more so very flat. Like that. And then if I want it to be really like, if I want it to be richer, more harmonics in the sound, fuller, I find I'm doing this. So as you can see, it's like it's somewhat flipped on its side. So I'm trying again. Oh. Oh wow, that is so weird to to me because it feels like it's doing the exact opposite of what I normally do on most flutes. Interesting. I'm starting to encounter more and more flutes that react this way. I just edited some of my previous streams. I've been working on that in the background, guys. I know I'm not releasing it quite yet because I want to have like a good number of them ready for you guys first before I release them. But I was just working on a I think it was the Pearl Cantabile with the, I forget if it's the Forte or the Colore. I think it's both though, but it treats tone color production like this, like the sort of like flip 90 degrees style, which I think is super interesting. So I make a mention in that review, and I grabbed snippets of my really old streams. The two other instances that I've experienced this is the Ashen Zebrano Woodify and the Nyanyazi horns. So the bejeweled rhinestone flutes. For some reason, adding all of those jewels to the flute flipped it 90 degrees like this, like flip the tone color kind of manipulation by 90 degrees. And I find it very interesting that popping this head joint onto this flute has done the same thing. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is absolutely happening. So, hey Gary, how are you doing? Don't worry about your comments not displaying correctly. It seems to be displaying correctly, at least to me. So yeah. Okay. I'm just going to mess with it a little bit more. That is so weird. Oh, wow. This will fit someone really nicely. Like someone who prefers to play with tone color in this manner would love this. But I am now very curious. Like, I really want to stick the other head joint on here. Let's see. I think it was the DA that one was like, right? Let's see if that is the case. I have too many flutes. There are too many flutes. I guess it's a good problem to have. Is this the DA? Yes. Excellent. Good. This is the DA cut. So very quickly, guys, I'm just going to double check that I wasn't completely insane. And I want to try this. Make sure that it is the more like sideways way of doing things. So it's this. Right. I was not crazy when I drew this. So you want to stay higher up, but still narrow for that hollow sound. It's really hard to lose the core. It's very hard to lose the core, that zingy core. It's really hard to lose it with this, the metal head joint. Woo. Yeah, it's like, it's almost, I would say it's fairly possible in the low register, but in middle register, it's really hard to get to that like truly hollow tone. I don't know if I can actually even really do it on this setup. Because I'm trying to also smash it like this, but it's getting into a sound that doesn't sound hollow. It just sounds squished. Like squished and airy, but not in a good way, you know? I think that's as hollow as I can go. And I think I am accurate in how I drew it here. So, I think someone was asking, yeah, Nicholas, you were asking how it compares to my manka. Yeah, I am also curious too. So, like, I feel like my manka, if I remember correctly, it behaved closer to how the DA behaved, but it just had a more kind of woody breathiness around it. That's what I recall, but let's experiment. And I remember I need to put some tape on this thing. Otherwise, it's going to be way too thin. Okay. I think I needed like a tiny bit more if I remembered correctly. Okay, let's see. So this is my manka. Which only has the wooden lip plate on it. Okay. You hear that? It's so much easier to get that hollow tone, like to lose that core and get that true hollow tone. Yeah. So it, with my just the wooden lip plate, granted this is Mopani, but you get that woodsy breathiness around it, but the behavior is closer to how it behaves with the DA cut with the full metal head joint. And I think it's because this is actually mostly metal, but you still get that woodsy breathiness around it. But now if we pop on the full wood head joint, it just completely changes the behavior of that tone color production. So interesting. That is wild. I know it looks like I'm doing the exact same thing, but I'm not. I'm actually like, when I go for the breathy sound, I'm actually kind of flattening it. It's narrow, but it's flattened, as I have drawn here. It's that little like orange flat circle in the middle, like flat oval that is in the middle. That's how it feels to play thin. And then the rich sound is that really tall, narrow way of playing. It's so interesting. Very, very interesting. So I'm going to write here. So woodsy breathiness around a zingy core. And I'll put here tone color manipulation flipped 90 degrees from most flutes, at least in my experience, most flutes. So that's really wild. Okay, I'm going to now try just like really quickly like my scales and then tongued. So let's do this. All right. Nicholas, if you don't mind typing in the chat for me right now to Gary, please tell him to refresh the page, because it seems like maybe, Gary, you might not be watching live, but you might be seeing the live chat is live. So you might be just watching from earlier on, or press the live button that should be near the play button somewhere on the screen. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, so something I did notice from doing the scales is that with this head joint, it's a little bit more sensitive to the angle of the airstream, and thus more sensitive to like intonation. So you can bend this more. So let's straight up do some pitch bends just to see how far we can push this thing. So here we go. I don't normally do pitch bends as a test, but for this one, I'm like, I think I'm very curious because I can feel it while I'm doing the scales. I'm like, whoa, it's very sensitive. So let's see. Yeah, that's very sensitive. Wow. So if you want to do some good pitch bends, I think that wow, that's really impressive. Okay. I'm curious, so I'm going to switch back to the metal one. to see if it is just as um, sensitive, because I don't remember that. I actually remember this this flute being very like intonation wise, like very like dead set, you know. So let's see. Can you guys tell that it's more resistant to it? I feel like it is. My hands are getting sweaty. There we go. Okay. Please tell me I'm not crazy. I really do think it's more sensitive with the wooden head joint. I think it is actually more sensitive. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. If you guys disagree with me, you can feel free to let me know. But I think it's more sensitive. More pitch intonation sensitive. Which means great for pitch bending. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. All right. Now for a really fun part, which is to, we're gonna try out a few tunes. Let's see how this goes. Okay. I felt like definitely harder to get that true woody, whooshy sound. But I thought to myself, because this is so consistent in the like tone color family with the Nagahara 950, I was like, then maybe this is really good for like classical era pieces. So not so much like folk tunes and stuff like that where you really want that loosey-goosey tone color, but like for something that you really want like a consistent sound, but still have that breathy woodsy quality to it. Like classical era music might be really good. So case in point, the Mozart concertos. So if we try that. Oh gosh. Oh, that inline G is really getting me. Oh, it feels so weird. One more time. Right? Doesn't this sound cute? I think it sounds really cute for that kind of thing. So you're saying Baroque. Let's do a very, like, let's do that E flat major sonata, the Siciliana. I have a feeling this is going to sound really good on that one. So if we do, because we want a very consistent sound throughout, you know? So if we do, where is it? I want the one in E flat major. Yeah, the Siciliano. That's the one. You know, if you can't believe it, I don't have this memorized. Yeah, that sounds cute. That works really well. Okay, so while I was searching for that, I did come across CPE Bach. So now I want to try that because CPE Bach is a little bit kind of like, it's the in-between. He's like in between Baroque and classical. So let's try a bit of the Poco Adagio from his sonata in A minor for solo flute. I'm making that up because I can't actually see the music. Yeah. Wow. It is very good. Very good for Baroque, late Baroque, classical. Yeah. Wow, that's really, really good for this era. Cause like around this era, you still really want that very consistent sound, but having that breathy, woodsy quality around it is just so good. Woo! Woo! So I would say that is kind of like the strength of this particular combo, at least. So I'll put this here. Fantastic for Baroque to classical era for woodsy breathiness plus consistency in tone color. Really good. That's fantastic. I actually don't think it's going to be as good for like, you know, I was saying that I wanted to try my Genshin tunes, but I kind of switched course because as I was playing the Genshin main theme, I was like, it's not, I can tell that it's not meant to have like, to be very kind of like loosey-goosey in its tone color. And I should have known that because of the Nagahara 950. But I will play some snippets of the other Genshin tunes for you guys, so you guys can hear how like you might be able to hear that the flute is sort of like kind of like pushing back against me, like not wanting to give in terms of like the tone colors. So we're going to play a little bit of Rapid as Wildfires once my computer finishes thinking about it. There it is. Okay. So, let's see. We're going to do 2 pages like this and okay, good. Okay, perfect. Cool. So, I'm going to play a little bit of this Rapid as Wildfires from Genshin Impact. How it's not giving. It's not okay. It's not giving way to me. That's what I'm saying. I know that in this day and age, when you say something is not giving, it means something completely different. But what I mean is that it's not giving way to me. It's not letting me push against it. So you can hear how it's resisting me. Like it sounds very resistant. Yeah, I could already kind of feel that it was doing that on just the Genshin Impact main theme. So I was like, it's not going to, like it can do very technical things, as you can hear, technical fast things like the Mozart concerto, which let me play that little excerpt for you guys again, just so you can hear the, like I'm tonguing, still tonguing in a similar manner, but you can hear how it just sounds right for classical era stuff. You hear that difference? Like it's like suddenly it like woke up for the Mozart concerto. But for this, for the Rapid as Wildfires, you can hear it's just so resistant to what I'm doing. I'll play it a little bit more. Yeah, are you guys hearing how it's resisting me? It's completely and utterly resisting me. And there was another song I wanted to do. This one's called, I think it's a flickering shadows, flickering something. What's it called? Flickering shadows of something. Something like that. It's from the Sumera region. Play a bit of it. Can you guys hear it? It's pretty, but it's like, you can tell that I like kind of want to do a little bit more with the tone color, but it's not giving way to me. Like it's not there's like, it's like I push against it and it's not giving way to me at all. So I think, however, really good for its consistency though. So like for Baroque to classical era, beautiful. Just, so good. I also like what John said about Bem himself, the dude who won the patent, the patent race for the metal flute. He himself liked the wood head joint on top. He probably liked that because that breathiness that you get from wood is just so soulful. There's something so alive and soulful about it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that he also kind of fell in love with that combo, you know? Okay, so now that we have like really sort of exhausted the review of this combo, I have a feeling that I'm going to really enjoy this on the Trevor James copper alloy, because I like to be very loosey-goosey with my tone color. It's my favorite. So I I just saw Michael's reminder to swab, so I'm going to do so with Just Another Flute Guy, Nicholas's swab. Please, guys, he's not paying me to say any of this. So like legitimately, this is like my one and done swab. One pass, and it is dry. So we're gonna do that. One pass, it is dry. And then I'm going to swab out the head joint as well. Yeah, I'm just so happy that Nicholas came up with this swab, because it truly, guys, if you try this yourself, you're not going to go back to any other swab. It's my students have also said the exact same thing to me. They're just like, I can't go back. I'm like, I know. I'm the same. You know Song and Wind, by the way, welcome back. I also have a weird connection to brass players as well. I find them to be a lot more like they don't take themselves as seriously. And I kind of love it. It just, you know, makes me feel like I don't have to, I don't know what it is. It's just, I feel like I don't have to really like put up a face, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, our brass friends are just so like, they're very unapologetically themselves, and I love it. I am here for it. And it's just something really delightfully, I don't know, very refreshing. I also connect really easily with percussionists. Maybe some of it is nostalgia for me, because back when I used to go to the University of British Columbia, my locker was downstairs next to the percussion practice room. And because of that, I would just end up kind of hanging out with percussionists quite often. And they're also very like, they're so surprisingly very relaxed, but also very intense about practicing and about, you know, their craft. You know, I really liked it. Like they're very hardworking people, but they also kind of understand that it's sort of dependent on how much they work their craft, you know? Like I thought that was such a great, delightful combination. Okay. What we need to do now is open up a new drawing so we can put that in here, open. So let me make that larger for you guys again. 150. Okay, great. So this now is going to be the Drelinger on Trevor James copper alloy. So let's change up our review title. So this is now going to be on the Trevor James copper alloy. There we go. Okay. And then we got to change up our notes here, and then let's label this correctly. So, okay, so we are going to write this here. Whoa, why is it red? Why is it red? Okay, Drelinger Grenadilla on Trevor James. On plus Trevor James. Copper alloy C. You guys know it's a C flute, okay? Okay, so let's see kind of what this map is like before we have some fun playing around. So it fits a little looser on this one. So that's very nice. Okay, so we're not going to do as crazy of a rockstro grip because this one does have an offset G. So hopefully that is good. Okay, so let's see. Varicosum, some of you clarinetists are that way too. You mean like you're very, I find that too. Clarinetists, in my experience at least, are people who make some of the best jokes. So some of the best jokesters are amongst the clarinetists, but you guys also take your craft very seriously. I really like that combo. It's really nice. What grip do I use and why? So I use the rockstro grip, and it is because I have short fingers. And so essentially what you're doing is you are rotating the body of your flute outward so that your fingers don't have to reach up and over the keys as much. This was an old way of holding the flute for like Baroque flutes. I believe some Irish flute players also do a kind of a variation on this grip. Terry McGee, one of the top, if not the top Irish flute maker in the world, has a really great article about the rockstro grip. So if you want to go look him up, you can literally just Google Terry McGee rockstro grip. Rock as in ROCK and then STRO, rockstro grip, and you'll find his delightful article on it. It's like fully cited and everything. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's why I use it, because I have really short fingers. And it is very, very useful for people with small hands, short fingers, short limbs, you know, that type of thing. Yeah. Manuel, hello. How are you? Yeah, most people don't notice my grip because it's just, it's so subtle that you don't notice it from far away. I can't, my camera is literally on the other side of my desk. I can't get that close to the camera. So I do have this. Okay. So, like if you look really closely, you'll notice that the keys are actually facing you guys more than it is up. You guys see that? Right? So if it wasn't rockstro grip, it would look like this. Yeah. So when you look at the flute, I have lined up the outside edge of the lip hole to the middle of the keys, or you know, minus the offset G, but to the middle of the keys, and that's pretty comfortable for me. On the Nagahara, what I had to do was actually rotate it even further in and have the keys facing outward even more, and that was just so that I could reach the inline G a little bit better. So yeah, it's good for you guys to, you know, to know. Yeah. Most people don't notice the grip at all. It's just because it's just not something you look for, and it's so subtle. So I don't blame you guys for not seeing it. Yeah. You're welcome, man. Okay, so let's give this a whirl. Okay. So I know I skipped a step, and I was supposed to do the harmonics first, but immediately I noticed the tone color production is now manipulation that is now back to the, like, you know, if I go wider and flatter, it's richer. And then if I go narrow and taller, it's hollow. I don't know. It's something is combination with this flute. Put it back the way I'm used to it. That is very interesting. What's going on? Huh. Interesting. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, it's even further back than when this was on the Nagahara 950. I think it's a little further back. And I think the outlier harmonic is actually the B flat, not the G. So I'm going to go back and check that. All right, guys, I'm gonna draw as I go, and also correct as I go, because I need to write this down and then experiment. But I actually think, so what's interesting is that the low C is sort of sitting in what I call no man's land, in that it is that air pocket, that air bubble is not actually touching a physical part of my mouth. And so it actually makes it a little bit difficult for me to reliably hit the same spot every single time. So this is something for people who are shopping for a flute to really consider. A flute that is predictable to you, that air pocket, that air bubble in your mouth will hit kind of a physical spot in your mouth. And it, like, because of that, it's easier to sort of aim. But if it's kind of in a spot that's not hitting any like physical part of your mouth, it can be a little bit unpredictable to hit the same spot. But I don't think I'm imagining it, but I feel like this C is like back here. It's like not quite hitting my lower teeth. And then one octave above is higher up, but also in sort of a no man's land. Like it's here, I think. Yeah. So G5 is like here. Again, it's not really actually hitting my teeth. Ooh, this is riding really high. But again, it's not actually hitting any spot. Okay, this one I think already hits the roof of my mouth, which does not really bode well for me for high notes. It's like hitting around there. So that's E. Okay, so I am very slightly lifting my soft palate to get the G, which is like right here. So just very slightly lifting it. It's lifting it in a fairly like comfortable position. So now for B flat 6, I think is the outlier harmonic. So it needs to go down and forward. So based on this map, I'm going to guess where it is. Knew it. I have to duck face this one because it's here. Okay. Ooh, very difficult for me to get that C7 because it's back up here. So I have to like actually I have to raise the roof of my mouth as far as it'll go, raise my soft palate, and then without tilting the flute with me, I have to tilt my head back so that it opens up that spot. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that the flute is this like kind of flat thing, just so that you guys can see that it doesn't tilt this way. So if the flute is like this and my mouth is like this, right? So let's say I raise it a bit, but it's still not raised high enough. If I tilt back like this, you can see that it opens up that area, right? So that's what I'm doing when I'm tilting my head back, is I'm kind of creating room that it doesn't normally have. So not impossible for me to get out, but very difficult and kind of uncomfortable. So yeah, that one I need to like tilt it all the way back. But you guys can see how everything is much higher. So if we go back to what we were doing before, you can see how this sits a lot lower in general than this. This sits really high in the mouth. So I think this is going to pose some issues going up into the really, really high notes for me. But you know, for someone else, this might be the perfect combo. You know, it really kind of depends. Some people's like roof of their mouth actually, kind of like goes upward like this. So like you might have space for this that I don't have. So again, I will repeat this like a broken record. I have a literal child-sized mouth. All right. So just because it doesn't fit in my mouth does not mean it does not fit in yours. All right. So, but now that we've mapped this, let's play with tone color. Tone color, I was saying already, it goes back to the manipulation. Flat and wide is rich, tall and narrow is hollow. So let's test that though. This one actually works almost the same as this one. So it, like, you have to kind of bring it out into like a wider base. So it's more of a triangle, like a flat triangle. So, right, I forgot to label these. I should probably do that really quickly. Let me do that. So, this one is C5, and then we have, oops, 5, C6, oops, E6, then we have G6, this one is B flat 6, and then we have C7. Okay, great. So, so the tone color is like our middle of the road kind of shape is, well, let me test it again. It's quite circular. So let's just go with a circle. It's like this. Oops, that's still kind of oblong. No, I'm going to do it there. So I'll make it a little bit small. No. There, that's close enough to a circle. Now, if we want it to be rich, you manipulate the shape so it's closer to this. It's surprisingly difficult to do this. There we go. That's close enough. And then if you want that really the thinner sound, you got to stay up here. The hollow sound is that light color. That's like, this is if you're looking at the air bubble or the airstream like head on. That's what I'm doing to the shape to make those differences. So, okay, this is a little bit closer to what I'm used to. A little bit more on the bottom heavy side in order to do it. So let's try out some scales and stuff like that. I realized I forgot to do articulation on the other one, so I might just very quickly go back and do that. Okay, so because the air bubbles are kind of in sort of no man's land behind my teeth, in order to make the tonguing sound, you do still need to you have to kind of like obstruct the air flow. That's how it creates that kind of the cut sound, right? But if you stick your tongue too far out to your teeth in order to do this, because I always tell people to like place the back of your tongue behind where the air bubble sits, right behind it. So right at the back end of each air bubble, if you tongue against the back of the air bubble, it's going to be crisp. So I was imagining myself doing that here, but because the air bubble is not actually against any sort of surface, the tonguing feels so light that it almost feels like you're going la 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 instead of like a ta ta ta, because a ta really kind of like smashes the tip of the tongue against, you know, a surface inside of your mouth, whether that is your teeth or the roof of your mouth. But when you go la 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 la, it's a very, very light tongue, and that's all you need. La 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 la. So I'm gonna try double tonguing now. I think for double tonguing, I need to probably do something very similar, where the K probably should not be very hard either. Yeah. So it should feel like you're going lugga 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 lugga. It's like saying lugga, but the ga is like the lightest G sound that you could possibly make, like almost a false one. So like like it's very slurred, kind of like it's not very, it doesn't, like when you say it with, you know, activating your voice box, it doesn't sound very like articulated. It's not clear, it's all slurred together. But you can hear how clear it sounds here. So again. Yeah, you almost feel like you're completely cheating. Like you're just you're not truly making like a true contact with the roof of your mouth for especially for the K part of the double tonguing. I'm now very curious. I'm just going to switch back very quickly onto the Nagahara because I have a feeling I might have to do it even lighter, because judging from how far away I put it, I think I have to do this here too, which may improve the rapid as wildfires, like crazy double tonguing I was doing. Okay, that took me a few tries, but I really had to imagine that I was hitting a spot that is more or less in no man's land, like in my mouth, like just not, I'm just hitting air, really. I'm hitting the air behind my teeth. And it is creating that lighter tone. So I'm curious now. I'm going to try a bit of Rapid as Wildfires now with that style of tonguing. Cleaner for sure. But because they are sitting in a spot in my mouth that is kind of like I'm hitting air, literally, it makes it so that it's quite unpredictable for me personally. This may not work the way that is working for me, for you. So, you know, just keep in mind that we're all different from each other. It just so happens that in my mouth, this is not hitting like the air bubble is kind of in space. It's hung out in space behind my teeth. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So let's switch back to the Trevor James. Oh, okay. Now that we've, you know, like kind of like played with all this stuff, now it's time to see how this fares on like loosey-goosey tone color stuff versus like very consistent traditional sound. See how this goes. Laters, Justin, thank you so much for joining. Let's see. Hey, Alluring, how are you? So what do you guys think so far? I mean, like, I'm weirdly uncomfortable in different ways and weirdly comfortable in also different ways on each of these setups. By the way, I do want to say, so let's see. Yeah. So I'll put here rides high generally. And rides further back as well. That's definitely something I'm noticing. And I'll put here tone color manipulation. Manipulation is back to like a wide equals rich, narrow equals hollow. Yeah, except it's bottom heavy. But bottom heavy. Okay, cool. So now, yeah, let's do the Genshin Impact main theme. I'm way more comfortable with this. Like with this kind of it gives. So it's what I thought would happen, that the copper gives to me a bit more. I don't know if you notice that, like when I push it, like it's almost like the flute sort of goes with me and opens up, rather than sounding like it's resisting me. So for contrast though, let's hear how this sounds doing the opening of the Mozart G. And you may notice that I'm going to guess that I need to do sort of like a folky take on the Mozart for it to work on this combination. I feel more comfortable, but it's because I like this combo. However, I am recognizing that I have actually lost that very bright, consistent sound. So just so you guys can hear that difference, I'm going to play it back to back. And you'll hear that on the Nagahara, there's much more of like a consistent sound. I keep messing up because of the inline G, but I hope you guys can hear that difference. I certainly can hear the difference, that you lose that very specific kind of shimmery, bright soloistic quality when you go on a flute that is kind of like more tone color, blendy, loosey-goosey. So again, I'll do this combo for you guys. You hear that? It's like mellow. Oh my God, switching back and forth between inline and offset is weird. Gosh. I also don't know if you guys noticed, but I do more what I call auto vibrato, like automatic vibrato, on a flute that has more of a very consistent sound. But I actually will drop my vibrato more often on a flute that allows me to kind of push and pull on the tone color. That's interesting. I don't think I ever really noticed myself doing that until just now. Interesting. But okay, we'll now try out with this combo. We're going to try out the Rapid as Wildfires. Okay, I have to kind of stare at my map too. Okay. yeah, this gives a lot more. But I feel that what it's missing for something as aggressive sounding as this is a little bit more of that slightly more metal edge. Like I feel like I can't quite get actually to as zingy of a sound as I want. So I've definitely lost the zingy sound that it was present when this was on the 950, on the Nagahara 950. So I think, however, this next song, so this one was Rapid as Wildfires. We're gonna do Flickering Shadows of Trees or something like, I can't remember the name of it. If I edit this down, I'll put the name of it. And I think this will be really nice for that piece though, because that one doesn't need any of that kind of like driving zingy sound at all. So I think this is going to work really well for this piece. Yeah, that works for that. Yeah, so this combo is, because it kind of gives, but at the same time you're not really getting that zingy sound either. It's perfect for pieces like that are kind of like that sweet, gentle, woodsy sound, you know. This combo, I think, will have really a lot of trouble playing anything that's remotely aggressive. I feel like you can get some aggression with the Nagahara 950 body, but not this copper alloy body. So like, I'm guessing a silver body will just in general give you a bit more of like that kind of like zingy core that you need to play aggressively. But yeah, you needed that today, Nathan. I'm glad I could provide. By the way, Ruth, I see your question. I will address it after I'm done kind of yapping about this. Yeah, I'm curious now about what happens if I were to play like Baroque things on this combo, because this has more of the, you know, you can kind of move around a little bit with tone color. I'm curious now. So this is the Siciliano from Sonata in E flat by Bach. in the slightly blasphemous way that I like to play Bach, this is perfect. So the reason why I say that it's slightly blasphemous the way that I play this is because I kind of put a bit of a folky edge to how I play Baroque music. It's how I prefer it. I'm sure a lot of people want to throw stones at me for playing this way. And you know, they are well within their rights to do so. It's totally fine. However, you know, so essentially, like, I like the having a little bit of wiggle room with the tone color for me to play with, so that I can still add a lot of interest into how it sounds without relying so much on like vibrato, essentially. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like I'm really not using vibrato all the time. So now I want to try the Poco Adagio by Bach's son, C.P.E. Bach. We'll see how this goes. So sonata in A minor for solo flute. Read this, guys. I'm getting old. I mean, okay. Still can't read it. It needs to be bigger. Okay, I made it bigger. Again, a bit blasphemous the way that I play this, but it moves with me. Like, and I like to be in the driver's seat, so this is a preference. All right. So now some people will play the Trevor James and be like, I cannot find the center of this thing. This thing just, like, I cannot find where my tone needs to sit. Fair, valid, totally fine. We're all different from each other. So my suggestion for people who don't like this kind of loosey-goosiness for a flute, one, maybe don't play anything that has copper in it. You're probably going to not like it. Two, you're going to want to find a flute that really kind of establishes a center for your tonal color. So the Nagahara 950 is a good example of this. There are many, many flutes that do this type of thing. I just happen to have these two flutes that can really demonstrate that difference. So not everyone is going to like how this combo plays. You might like how I play it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is how your body likes to play it. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So you are still going to sound absolutely gorgeous on a flute that, you know, like really kind of gives you a core. So yeah, this pretty much worked exactly the way that I thought it would, that like the copper gives me that kind of a little bit more of that push and pull that I'm looking for. But I think what I really discovered was that because I am allowed more tone color kind of flexibility, I actually rely less on vibrato, which is really interesting. It never occurred to me before. So due to tone color flexibility, I can't spell that apparently, ability, there we go. Relying less on vibrato. That's really interesting to me. I mean, it kind of explains why on some flutes, at least I'm particularly noticing on something like the Nagahara, I feel like when I don't play with vibrato, it sounds really flat. Flat as in kind of not tone intonation wise. It's more that it kind of sounds kind of one-dimensional, if that makes sense. The vibrato gives it dimension. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just is. It's just like, do you play this way? All right. It's a preference thing. Okay. But yeah, like I find that with a little bit more tone color flexibility, I'm relying less on vibrato and I'm really allowing myself to kind of push and pull against the flute. And as you guys can see, I am this type of player and I really get into it. And I don't want to stop playing when I really get into it, even though I can't read all the notes because I'm getting old. So, let's see. Yeah, Piper May, thank you. You're so sweet for saying that. And Michael, have a great dinner. Thank you for joining. I should try Bach Air on G string. I shall. We have time. I want to try that. Okay, let's see. Does Flute Tunes have a rendition of it? Air. No. Yes? No. Does they do? Aaron, they do. I found it. Okay, let's try it. I do like Flute Tunes, kind of, whatchamacallit, their arrangements of things. It's very clean copies, so I really enjoy that. Okay, so let's try it. Okay. How fast are we going? 34. Okay, sorry, I had to remind myself how this goes. I have a recording of James Galway playing this. that I listened to over and over as a kid and never read what the song names were. This is one of my greatest Achilles heels is I'm awful at name that tune, because even if I know the tune, I never read the back of the CD to know what the tune actually was. Are any of you guys like this? Okay, here we go. Air on a G string. Yeah, that works really nice, because that like kind of like airy, very like light, but also like that push and pull, um more reminiscent of like what you can do on a string instrument, where you can kind of like push and pull, you know. I like that. That is really this combo is very good for this. Very, very good. Yeah. Um The song is called track 4. Legit, I had like the songs in my head, like I had them memorized because I like listened to it all the time. So I like knew how one would end, and then I knew exactly how the next track would begin. But I would have no idea what it was called because I just never read the back of the CD, like cover. Oh my God. So like there's so many times that I'll hear a melody. I'll be like, I know this, but I don't know the name because I never looked at the back. Never looked at it. So terrible. Absolutely terrible. You know, so I was particularly proud of myself one time when, Trader Joe's will have their little, payment, little swipey things, the little payment box. Oh my God, I sound so old. Anyway, so it will chime. And for Halloween, they put on the Toccata and Fugue in D minor, by Bach. And just for fun, the cashier was like, because the cashier noticed that we started to sing along. And then the cashier was like, do you know what this tune is actually named? And immediately I was just like, Toccata and Fugue in D minor by J.S. Bach. And they're like, wow, you are the first person to like actually know it. And I was like, okay, I'm not that much of a failure of a musician then. Yeah. Trader Joe's is a grocery store in the US. Yeah. So, oh, Nicholas, you too? Like, you had your mom repeat the same song so many times on the CD where it would start skipping. Oh yeah, no, I feel it. I know. Yeah, do you guys know? You actual youngins in here, you could replay the same part so many times that it would actually damage the CD. I believe cassette tapes work the same way too, because they're like, it's basically film, and you could absolutely listen to something into the ground, like it. Yeah, I have a Sir James Galway CD as well that is also scratched. Oh my God. Yeah, it wears out. Yep. So wow, that works so nicely. Like, this combo is just so good for like very light, soulful, like tone color stuff. It definitely lacks aggression. That's what I would say. So I'll put here, lacks aggression. Great for kind of like soft, soulful music. Yeah. So yeah, as you guys can see, you do end up with a very different sound depending on the flute that you put a head joint on. It can absolutely change how how it performs. So there are a lot of flutists out there who will have actually at least two different flutes for exactly this purpose, is so that when you depending on who you're playing with and are you playing and what you're playing. So like if you're playing solo and like concerto type stuff, big venue, you're going to want a flute that's very consistent in its tone color production, and very zingy, lots of core, so that you project very well. Your loosey-goosey, soulful, soft sound is absolutely not going to carry in a large venue. The other thing is, what are you playing, right? Because if you're playing this kind of very, very soft, soulful stuff. And if you're playing it on essentially a tank of a flute, that is more meant for large halls, big concertos, you're going to feel like you're completely steamrolling the piece. Like it's like you can't reel it back enough for it to be kind of soft and soulful. So they're, truly actually the same flutist can end up having, a few different flutes or flute head joints, in order to kind of like comfortably play in whatever they end up playing in. So yeah, I guess this is just a great demonstration to you guys as to why a lot of professional flutists actually have more than one professional flute. And yeah, like for me, I don't really like, based on what I do, it doesn't really make sense for me to like have a soloistic flute, on top of the flute that I already have. So my flute tends to be more of that kind of soulful, tone color, loosey-goosey flexibility, more folky sound. And it works for me because primarily what I do is reviewing flutes. So by default of reviewing flutes, I do get to play all these different types of flutes. But then also most of what I do beyond content creation is teaching. And when I'm teaching, I don't have to have a soloistic sound. Because really what we're teaching are like techniques, skills, we're teaching the craft. And because I have experience with so many different flutes, I don't have to like have a flute to demonstrate the concept. I can just talk my students through it, because, all my students are adults. So in my case, it doesn't really make sense for me to have a second flute that is, kind of behaves a very different way from my main flute here. So, it depends on your job is really what I'm saying. So just because I have one flute, one sort of end all be all flute, it doesn't mean that you have to if you are going into this for your career. I know that some flutists almost feel a little bit too extra, but if you can afford it, if you've budgeted for it and it makes sense for your career, go for it, make that choice. And I think at the end of the day, it's just as long as you can afford it, it's within your budget and it serves you, because the flute should serve you. So the flute should serve you and your purposes. As long as it ticks all those boxes, you're good to go. So I know that some people watch my things and think that, yes, this is how a professional should be. And, you should have you should have one end all be all flute and stuff like that. And I don't want that to be what people think. Like, I want people to know that there's all different kinds of professional flutists out there with all different kinds of jobs. And with all those different kinds of jobs, you need the matching tool. So just kind of want to put it out there. Like, don't judge other people for what they own. We are all very different from each other. So we all need to have kind of a different setup and different numbers of setups and etc. So where I'm spending my money on not a second flute is on this entire setup. All right. My double cameras with my lenses and my 4 microphones that I'm using right now, and the desktop computer, and so if you guys are wondering where I'm spending my money for my second flute, you guys are looking at it and you guys are hearing it. So this is my second flute. All right. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, Piperman, you wore out an 8-track playing over and over. Oh my God, that is wonderful. So yeah, see, Pahud has 2 flutes and a plethora of head joints. It makes sense for his career. you know? Yeah. You always joke that your flute is my second car. You know what I joke? I joke that my flute is actually my first car, because I got this flute, or not these flutes, but the one in the case. I got my flute before I got a car. I didn't get a car until I had moved down to California for my master's, like before my master's. Yeah. And so yeah. So my, like, this flute here in this case is actually my first car. You got your flute before your car. Is that why you call your car? Do you call your car your second flute? You had your Powell before you got your car? Yeah. I feel like weirdly it's actually a very common, a weirdly common occurrence amongst flutists that, like, I'm actually, your case is not the only case that I've heard too, that like we buy a flute before we buy a car. Yeah. Your undergrad professor asked what car you driving. You said Powell. Yeah, I drive a Brandon. Okay. I'm feeling really done. Do you guys, yeah, I know, priorities. Do you guys have any particular questions about any of what I've tried today? I mean, I'll start packing up and you know, like swapping everything out right now, but like I'm curious before I fully put it away if you guys have any like curiosities that I can appease before I really truly put everything away. I am. While I wait for if there are any questions, I'm going to finally circle back to Ruth's question. So a long time ago in this stream, Ruth asked if they teach kind of like what you do in the mouth for dynamics. I'm gonna guess you're probably also asking about like tone color and that type of thing. If you want a very accurate kind of depiction of the types of ways that music schools traditionally teach dynamics and tone color, might I suggest that you purchase The Magical Flutist by Katri Renstrom. All right. In my opinion, this book is amazing at describing in pretty much exactly the same way that you're going to hear like a professor explain stuff to you in university in here. All right. So there's a lot of uses of different vowels, like to kind of make your mouth form the correct shape and stuff like that. She also provides a lot of different kind of approaches to the same thing, because that's the thing with finding a good teacher is you're trying to find a teacher that clicks with your style of communication. And so what Katri has done here is kind of like provide a bunch of different ways of explaining the same concept, but she does it in a very concise way in bullet point form, and then even also with some imagery as well, because some people are very like visual, you know? So if you want sort of the like a very well done but more traditional kind of widely accepted way of like tackling tone color dynamics and that type of thing, The Magical Flutist for sure. Yeah, you guys remember that stream, right? The Magical Flutist. So Ruth, if you're still here, you will want to, you can look at my review of this. She didn't actually even ask me to review it. I actually requested if I could. So she did send this to me for free and I reviewed it. But she didn't even actually ask for a review. It was just me, like, you know, being very intrigued by it. And so I really like this book. I'm getting my my students to purchase this book because it is such a great kind of like helpful way to sort of like provide an extra like different perspective. Now, I say all of this because the way I describe things about how like the airstream moves in the mouth, where it hits the air bubble, all that stuff, you are not going to hear a traditional, like, you know, a traditional flute professor, you know, performer, etc. You're not going to hear other people describing the flute the same way I do. All right. In fact, if you were to use like all the terms that I end up using for my own, you know, reviews, you know, if you ask a flute professor these things and they don't watch my reviews, they're going to look at you like you're completely and utterly insane. Okay. Like, just putting it out there, guys. If anyone is weird, I am the weird one. Okay. Like, I am just doing the best of my ability to describe to you guys how it feels in my mouth to play all these flutes. All right. And there are going to be plenty of professional flutists who disagree with me, and that is completely and utterly fine. I'm not bothered by it. You know, that's what makes the world go around. That's what makes, you know, allows us to evolve, you know, all that good stuff. Okay. And so yeah, I do want to make it very clear to you guys that I am aware that I am a weirdo and that I describe how the air moves in my mouth in a very uniquely Joanna way. So I am not telling you guys all of this because I learned it from school. I am telling you guys all of these things because this is legitimately how I am experiencing these flutes as I'm reviewing them. Yeah. Yeah, no one talks about this. Yeah, they've looked at you like, huh? Exactly. So like, that's why I think that like, I've been wanting to make it very clear to you guys that this is truly what you guys are watching are my reviews of these flutes. And yes, I am noticing similarities between how flutes play. So I'm getting a really good idea of sort of like the bottom line of how a lot of flutes work. But that, you know what I mean? Like, it does not match how flute education is traditionally taught. So if you want a really good representation of traditional flute education, Magical Flutist is fantastic for that. Like if you want that traditional kind of approach that is widely accepted here. Now, for me, describing the inside of my mouth and all of that stuff and where blah, 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 it is not traditional. And not everyone feels what I describe. All right. I do get a lot of people who do feel it, you know, but this is why you want to, like, whenever you're learning a craft like this is why you want to kind of like have different perspectives. You want to have, you know, like have experienced different teachers explaining the same concept, but in different ways, you know. It's a good thing. So I'm just one of the voices that kind of explains how I experience the flute. You know, granted, I do have the advantage of trying so many flutes, and that is why I can sort of like I can kind of feel what stays the same and what is different between flutes. And I do feel like that gives me an advantage when it comes to teaching, because I can just sort of like ask my student what they play, and it sort of already answers a lot of questions for me about, like, you know, any issues that they are having or anything like that. But yeah, so it's nice to have some kind of explanation for how I do my embouchure. It's so hard otherwise. I feel it. I like, that's why I like have come up with all these hilariously funny ways to describe my embouchure to you guys, you know? Cuz like I have to find a way to essentially like communicate online, you know, how I play the flute. And yeah, it's very funny. It's a very, very funny experience. Yes. Oh man, still got a bit of tape that is refusing to come off. Okay, Viracosin asked as well, any advice for finding flutes for those of us who haven't played one before? It's actually way easier than you think. Okay. At the bottom of it, it's just which one do you happen to play more easily? That's it. So what you want to do is like do a trial. Okay. Do a trial for beginner flutes. So have like somewhere between 3 to 5 flutes that you try. There's lots of makers out there who make beginner model flutes. So usually the kind of like smattering of flutes that I like to suggest that people get or try are like Di Zhao, Trevor James, Yamaha, Haynes Amadeus, Burkhart Rezona, I believe is their beginner line. These ones are really well-made beginner level flutes. And of course you can try Gemeinhardt Jupiter. Gemeinhardt and Jupiter I find work better in sort of a school band setting. But if you're looking for something to kind of get yourself into kind of more like, you know, higher level playing eventually, I find that you know, you may find that you have a bit more to work with, I feel, on the flute for the ones that I just listed. So, but yeah, get a smattering of them. There's a few more that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. So there's a lot of them. All right. I believe Eastman, is that right? Because I think I reviewed that one before as well. Also fantastic. So, you know, like, yeah, so get 3 to 5 flutes, try them, just try blowing in them. You don't even have to like know what you're doing. Just try blowing in them, and whichever one responds to you the most readily, go with that one. Just go with it. Okay. And then once you've like, you know, over a year or so, once you've really like honed your skills, you can start to kind of create a laundry list of like what you wish your flute could do, like what you wish, how you wish your flute to be more comfortable, right? Once you kind of get that laundry list going, then the next time you upgrade, you have kind of a clear vision of the type of flute that you want to, you know, upgrade to. Yeah. So it's actually a lot easier than I think it seems to be. It only starts to get somewhat complicated once you get into the professional level of trying flutes. The professional level of trying flutes is a little bit like, whoa, there's a lot to choose from. And it's kind of like, which direction are you going in? What do you prefer? What kind of music do you play? Who do you play with? You know, depending on the people that you play with, what tone color works the best with them. So it's way more complicated as a professional. As a beginner, it's just whichever one responds best to you. Yeah. There's the clay flutes. Yes. Passion flute is fantastic for a beginner to just kind of whip out and play whenever they want to, because you don't even really have to you don't have to even like clean it very much. Because it's made from like a natural material. So yes, Powell released a beginner Sonari. Fantastic. Another fantastic choice. Now I want to try it. I'm curious. Yeah. Hey Sean, how are you doing? You're so welcome, Viracosin. So yeah, don't overthink it. Just try smattering of flutes and just see which one just plays the easiest. That's it. Like in my experience of teaching, I have had students come to me and be like, this just felt the easiest to play. I don't know if I chose the right one. I was like, no, you chose the right one. Like you know, like if it plays the easiest for you, just go with that one. Now, I do know that there are a lot of flutists out there who believe that you grow into a flute. I believe that line of thinking was more so necessary when there weren't as many different types of flutes out there. Like the accessibility for flutes and different styles of playing has absolutely exploded in recent years. And because of that, in my opinion, I don't think that you have to grow into a flute anymore. So in my opinion, if a flute just doesn't feel comfortable for you to play, you have so many choices these days that there is, in my opinion, no real reason to kind of torture yourself on a flute that is not comfortable for you, So that's what I think, at least. Again, totally fine if you are a flute teacher watching this and you disagree with me. Valid. It's okay. This is just my opinion. All right? It's okay. What Joanna says is not law. Okay? What Joanna says is just Joanna's opinion. I'm just going to repeat that over and over. Yeah. Oh, Powell 101. The Haynes Amadeus. I should do I should loop back to the beginners now, especially the new beginners. Because I often find that new beginner flutes pose very interesting, like they really show off what is the trend, like what's the going trend in the flute world. Weirdly, I find that is more so the case than on professional flutes, because I almost find that professional flutes are actually a little bit more stable in how they're designed, whereas beginner flutes I find tend to have the most kind of like development, evolution, changes, from like model to model, or even like coming out with new designs and stuff like that. So yeah, I do often find that I'm just like surprised by what people come up with, Yeah. Joe Pinion. Oh, I like it. Thank you, Nathan. It's my Joe Pinion. Hashtag Joe Pinion. Should you jump to an open hole flute? You play clarinet, so covering the hole shouldn't be a problem. The only thing is that open hole flutes tend to not really be a thing until you're looking at least step up model flutes, which means that there's a bit of a price hike, right? So they're more expensive than beginner flutes. So in my opinion, in that case, you're really just looking at how committed are you to the flute. I think you're probably going to be pretty committed, okay? But the other thing is, what's your budget like, So, and also you want to think to yourself, do you eventually want to have a backup flute? Okay, so if if you want to have a good backup flute, you may want to start with getting a really good beginner, playing on that for like a year, 2 years, something like that, and then kind of graduate it into your backup flute. And then in the meantime, in that 1 to 2 years that you're studying on that flute, save up for your step-up flute. And I find that when you do that, then when you send your flute in for a COA, you like have something to play on at home. You have something to practice your technique and whatever on, you know, that normally you would not. I would say that this is kind of one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, is that like when you send your flute in for a COA, it's gone for like absolute minimum 1 week. But usually for most people, it's anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks is kind of usually how long you're waiting for your COA to be completed and to return the flute back to you. And that can be a really long time if you really enjoy playing the flute, you know? So anyway, I'm going to put the lid on that. Yeah. I'm just going to look through here, see if I have like missed anything. Hey, Varicostin, there you go. So like Flute Center has open hold flutes for under 1K, which 1K is your budget. So that's perfect. Yeah, exactly. So like if it's within your budget, why not? You know, and then if you don't really like the holes very much, or if you find yourself slipping off of one or something, just plug that one, plug that two, I don't know, whatever. Like it's not a big deal, you know. You can do whatever you want. Yep. Let's see. Is there any? I'm certain I missed someone saying something, and I'm so sorry if I did. I don't mean to. Okay. There's just, you know, a lot. Oh, Piperman, thank you so much for your sweet comment about my information being valuable. I appreciate that very much. I do feel very crazy while I'm doing these reviews, so it's nice to know that you guys know, like, you guys understand what I'm trying to communicate. Yeah. Any other things? Okay. I don't think I missed anything. I hope not. Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome, Ruth. I was very, very happy to respond. It's just that I knew that I was going to take a long time to explain it. So I was like, I should finish the review first before I explain this concept. Anyway, I'm done, guys. Thank you for, you know, hanging out with me while I was cleaning up everything. It's a lot less lonely when I clean up in front of you guys. You guys know how sad it is when I like end a stream and then I sit there for like 20 minutes cleaning up. It's actually, I was doing that a few times in the last few months. Like a few times I don't know if you guys noticed that sometimes I would stop the stream before I clean up, and then sometimes I'm cleaning up on stream. It's because I'm kind of comparing the two experiences, and I have come to the conclusion that I would rather clean up in front of you guys because it's a lot more fun. You know, you guys ask very interesting questions, so and like I'm very like happy to answer because you guys I'm very like, I think, very spoiled by the fact that you guys actually like my very frank answers. I've just kind of reached a point in my life where I don't see a point in pretending to be something that I'm not. And so if I'm doing something in a very non-traditional manner, I'm just going to be very forthright about the fact that I'm very non-traditional. So yeah, exactly. You guys are also here to entertain me. And you thought I was here to entertain you. All right. Yeah, exactly. Cleaning the house while chatting on the phone with friends. Exactly. It's so much better. So much nicer to clean up while chatting with you guys. Oh, yes, how the turns have tabled. Okay, well, I'm all done now, so I'm going to take my leave. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe to the best of your ability because there is no music without the musician. I will see you guys sometime next week. We still have the flutes here, so we're definitely going to be doing a review next week. And just as a teaser, this is a particular type of silver that I have never tried before. I don't think I've ever tried it before. It is called coin silver. It is 0.900 silver. I've never tried this before, so I'm very curious about it. It is a Haynes coin silver flute. I'm very curious. So we have that to look forward to next time. And I will see you guys sometime next week. It looks like it's probably going to be Thursday at probably 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's what it looks like it's going to be, somewhere around there. Maybe a little earlier. Unsure. Let me look at my calendar. Yeah, I might start it a bit earlier just so that I have a bit of time before I have to teach my afternoon lesson. So, yeah, so we'll do that. But, you know, a little special teaser for you guys who have stayed to the end of the stream. So, I love y'all so much. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.